Cool.
And yeah, we'll get started. So how's everybody doing today?
Pretty good. It's really
Good.
hot though.
Yeah, Rija, you're in Islamabad?
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
Yes. Very hot these days.
it's only getting started, right?
Yep.
Yes, exactly.
Gearing up for summers.
Yep. I am having fun. I just went to Trail 3 today. I don't know if for people who are not from Islamabad, Trail 3 is a real
Beautiful.
popular hike here in Islamabad. So so yeah, I kind of, 17 years in Calgary, minus 35-degree weathers in winters. I have quit complaining about weather and try to embrace what comes to me. And this is like a piece of cake, the summertime. So at least you can go out and do stuff and things like that.
Calgary's
So
on a whole other level. It snows in June at times. It's just like it refuses to get warm.
yeah. Even in the summertime, it's like, 20-degree days are considered to be good days. So so yeah, that's everything about weather. Anything else anybody has to report? How are things going in terms of work, and are you guys having fun? What's going on there?
Nobody's having fun.
I hope
I know, Rich.
everyone's having fun. I'm having fun. I don't know
Yeah,
about the
I know
rest.
you are,
Oh, bye.
Rija. We heard some great things from your client, and I think you sent us a peek inside your day as well.
Yes, yes.
So I looked at that video yesterday. It looks solid, and obviously your client's happy with you, and hopefully you saw a little thank you from our side on
Yeah,
your
I
page.
did. Yeah, I did.
Awesome. So so that's great. And so today what I guess myself and Subuhi mainly are going to be talking about today are what's involved in being being a rep stacker, I guess. So there's you guys know that we are fairly fresh company, so we're still learning things as we go along, and that's full disclosure. We don't have everything figured out right from the get-go. That's how the startups are. But pretty soon we'll be crossing that 100 people mark, where when 100 people become a part of an organization, you're no longer a small business, you're a medium-sized business. So so we've been blessed with this growth, and we're playing it by ear as it comes to us. We're trying to do as much as we can, stay ahead of the curve, but just the sheer growth that we're facing right now, it's it's an incredible blessing. And then obviously it does, you know, keeps us up at night sometimes, not always. I've learned to deal with that too. And, sometimes when things do happen, there's not much you can do about it, and you just have to get a good night's sleep and get back to work the next day. So so it has been an incredible journey, but the best part about this journey is uh, all of you guys. Subui, do you mind if you can stop sharing your screen just for a little bit, and then we'll start again, because I want to
Yeah,
see
sure.
everybody on here.
No worries.
So so yeah, so the best part about the journey is obviously all of you guys. And I think I've said this numerous times in the past as well, that uh, anytime I'm having a tough day, I just come and take a look at the day end reports that you guys submit, and that just gives me some superhuman powers. And I see that the incredible work you guys are doing, and gives me a lot of strength, that knowing that if we're putting out this quality of work day in and day out, there is no way that we're not going to succeed, inshallah. So so keep that stuff up. What our job on our side is to make sure that we assist you, we facilitate you in doing the best every single day. So what that looks like, what that means, is that, and I had this conversation with Hafsa. Hafsa was one of our very first hires, and she recently started working at an Australian company, so she's now working with us. But the note she left me when she was leaving was like really, really heartwarming. And and one of the things that she said was that you know when I came to work every day, I wanted to do the best I could. And every day felt that I was accomplishing a little bit better, and I was getting a little bit better every single day. So that's the feeling that I want you guys to have at your work, at your jobs. And and you guys are all at very similar age groups as well. So I've been through that. I guess in the American lingo we'll call it the grind days, where you're just putting in long hours, and just building your work ethic, building up the skills that you're acquiring right now. And 10 years, 15 years from now, people will be paying you guys God knows what amount of money for just half an hour and 1 hour of your time to consult on things that you're just doing day in and out. And that's because you guys are putting in the hours right now. That's one of the things that like, if you are not feeling this way when you're coming to work and you're leaving work, then obviously there is a disconnect. And obviously, and part of the reason could be us as well. Like I said, that we're trying to learn as we grow as well. So we're trying to do new things, we're trying to bring in new things, trying to figure out, like, now a person is getting to a 6-month mark, what are the things that a person like Rija will be engaged in, so that she can continue to do an amazing job, and then maybe even provide better opportunities for her. So thinking about stuff like that, and this is kind of where I want to hand this off over to Subuhi and kind of talk to you guys about what we're thinking, what are the things that are coming down the pipeline for you guys, so that we can continue this relationship, not just for a few weeks and months, but years to come, inshallah ta'ala, so that you guys can see a clear path, whether it's financial, or it's getting a better I guess getting a better job within the job that you guys are doing. So, and also just to clarify that you have to think of RepStack, and I think we've had this conversation in the past. Think of RepStack as a consulting firm similar to IBM, Ericsson. There's so many consulting firms out there. You guys are part of the family once we hire you guys, and you might be working on a contract right now with a particular client, but as long as things are, we know your work ethic, we know there's no issues, major issues there, we'll take you from one client to the next client. Maybe right now you're on a simpler client, maybe the next job would be a more challenging job, and we'll place you with a bigger company or a better company or a different company, and those challenges will continue to come up. So so you don't have to think this is the only client I'm ever going to have with RepStack. We have, mashallah, a backlog of clients waiting to get people like you. So, you might be in a role for maybe 6 months, and from there, if you maybe outgrow that role, or the client is no longer with us, or we feel that there is a better opportunity for you in terms of your career growth, in terms of the work that you've done over the last 6 months, then we'd move you over to that next position where you continue to grow. So there's going to be a ton of growth opportunities, inshallah. So that's kind of how you have to think of RepStack. You don't think of us as merely paying your paychecks and providing you with health insurance and stuff like that. We'll make sure that you guys are continuing to grow with amazing opportunities as they arise for each one of you guys. So without any further ado, I think you guys all know Subuhi, our director of operations by now. And if you don't, then better get used to her, because she's amazing. And how long have you been with us so far, Subuhi?
Just a little over 2 weeks.
Yeah, and to be honest, it doesn't feel like that. Feels like I've known Subui for a very long period of time, and the way she's controlling things right now, it's just amazing. And that's just and that's what I see. I think everybody. So when we look at somebody that we want to hire internally, we see, are we able to so sometimes we have these conversations that hey, this person is good for a client, but maybe I won't hire her for myself or internally. So now we've set the same benchmarks. So if we can hire somebody internally, then we should be able to place them with the client, and vice versa. So Subui can go into an account and she can crush it just like any one of you guys. And we just decided to keep her for ourselves. But without any further ado, Subuhi, over to you. Feel free to share your screen and get started.
Thank you. Hi, guys. That was a wonderful introduction, Azhar. That sort of makes my job easier. I thought I'd have to maybe, introduce myself. But most of you met me on Shanz's farewell. For those of you who haven't, hi. I am excited to be here, excited to, see where this goes, and obviously to help in any way I can. All right, so, we were talking about, RepStack and what it means to work with RepStack. And I realized that, we had that conversation where you guys, the VAs, are what makes us who we are. You guys are the backbone of the company. You guys are what makes us successful. And if we want to, we're on this amazing trajectory. Within a couple of months, I've realized that RepStack's gone from absolutely, just a dozen people to almost 100. And that is exponential. That is amazing growth. And if we want to continue on this trajectory and keep moving upwards in the years and months to come, we need to make sure that, we're facilitating you guys as well in terms of personal growth and career growth. Up until now, I feel like that you guys have been working with your clients and you guys have been training on that as well. But your trainings are more focused on, what your current client wants. But there's a little bit of a gap here where we think about what you guys should have and what you guys should be taught when it comes to your personal growth. Like Azhar said, you guys are in that age group where you're grinding, you're learning, you're doing all of these things, you're putting in the hours. But have you guys ever thought about where this career path could go? And this is the main purpose of this coaching session, where I want you guys to know that being a virtual assistant isn't just that one thing. And I don't want you guys to think that virtual assistant, that's all this is ever going to be, and we're never going to get out of this, and this is all it is. There isn't. And that is, the aim of this particular career path coaching session, which we're going to talk about. So what does it mean to be a RepStack virtual assistant? Before I get into the actual, meeting, I'm going to quickly touch upon the agenda, which I just did. So we're going to have a discussion on career path. We're going to have a quick training session on the recipe for success. And I know it sounds very cliche, but it's some very simple things that I'd want you guys to really look into, which will really help in the long run, right? This is sort of like a recipe for the right kind of work ethic, which will take you guys from 0 to 100 real quick, right? Then I like sharing reading lists, and I know it sounds really boring, but trust me, it's maybe like an article or two. And if you guys just read into it, and it's like a food for thought. So I'll be giving that over to you guys as well. And then we're going to end this whole session with a quick Q&A where you guys can share any questions you have, and we'll do our best to answer it. Cool. All right. So if you go online and if you look for the, definition verbatim for virtual assistant, you're going to see something like, a professional who provides remote services to different clients in different niches. And that sounds rather, it sounds really dry and it sounds really boring. So I want to really remove the word virtual out of this whole assistant thing. And I want you guys to look at the actual role, the actual job that you guys are doing, right? If you think of yourself as just a virtual assistant, I feel like there's a lot of negativity that surrounds the term, right? But I want you guys to know that we are using the term virtual assistant here at RepStack to sort of just, make it simpler on this whole department, to sort of figure out, what are these guys doing? But within that, within that term, there's so many different virtual assistants working with RepStack, and all of them are doing something extremely valuable for the company, right? We've got account managers, we've got sales representatives, we've got social media managers, marketing assistants, and all of these things are actual viable career paths, right? If you go online right now and you look for virtual assistant jobs, you'll find a lot of them. But do you have a career path there? You don't know, right? Because it's so vast. So most of you, if you actually look at your job descriptions, you're doing either one or two of these four, main things. Obviously, you're doing a lot more than some of you are doing customer success, some of you are doing customer support. And again, those are also great, viable career paths. But these are the four main that I could find that most of you are doing, right? Do we have any account managers here or sales representatives or any one of these four? Jojo, what are you doing currently for your client?
I am a marketing assistant for my client, but I'm also doing sales for them.
That's awesome. So there we go. What about you, Omelela? I see Omelela. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yeah. So
Awesome.
I'm basically hi. So I'm basically marketing my client as same thing. Like I'm not into sales right now, but yeah, I'm getting there slowly.
Cool.
Right now I'm involved in the marketing and stuff, and running campaigns, etc.
That's awesome. What about Omar? I saw Omar here too.
I'm into marketing and in social media managing as well.
There we go. Awesome. So like I said, you guys, we're using the term virtual assistant internally, but if you actually look at your job description, if you look at what you're really doing on the ground, it's something very, it's very niched. You're working on something important, and this is something that has a viable career path, right? Which brings me into that whole discussion where I want, from now onwards, I actually want you guys to view your position not as, let's remove the word virtual from this whole thing. Because at this point, we're all virtual, virtually working. So it doesn't really matter that you're a virtual assistant as long as you're focused on the actual job description. And the reason I'm going on and on about this is the point I'm trying to make is that this thing isn't just, an unnecessary job, which might have been the impression up until now. It's a very valuable career path. So for instance, if you're starting, if you guys are interested in sales, or if you're interested, or you have a skill set in marketing, this is something you can definitely build on, right? This is a quick example. For instance, if you're working as a sales development representative, you start at the bottom, obviously, because right now, you guys are in that age group where you're grinding. You start with making cold calls. You're, prospects, you're looking at those, you're making all of these calls, you're sending out emails, and then you finally, learn to how to deal with that. But this is potentially where you could go eventually. You start as a sales rep, you end up as an account manager, you get promoted eventually to sales manager, and it doesn't stop here. This is just, this is the pyramid I could find. It had only 3 bars, so I went it all the way up to sales manager, but it can go much higher than that, right? The sky's the limit here. So, and then this is just the sales. For instance, right now you're working as a sales representative. You could make it all the way up to sales manager, director level even, right? But that's not just for sales. Same goes for marketing. Same goes for account management. Same goes for customer support and customer success, right? There is an actual career path. When it comes to, when it comes to mentioning things on your resume, this is what you should be aiming for. Instead of, writing, virtual assistant at RepStack, I think you guys should mention definitely exactly what kind of virtual assistant you were. So that when you're, when in the future you're looking at new jobs or you're looking at, promotions within the company, we know exactly what skill set you've been developing, and we can actually take you further in that particular set. Does that make sense? Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Then, as Azhar said, the company's been growing, and we might not have everything hashed out yet, but we're definitely working on it. And in fact, that's one of the biggest reasons they brought me in here. Salman's also on this call, and he can definitely vouch for this, that we are, we don't want you guys to think that at RepStack, the only thing you will ever be is a virtual assistant, because at this point, with the growth that we've been seeing, that's simply not true. You might be starting out as an intern, but there's going to be a proper career path that takes you all the way up to director level if you're willing to stick around, and just sort of put in the effort. You could go from intern to an executive, from an executive to manager, from management to, senior management, like I said, all the way up to leadership and directors, right? So movement and career growth, it's not just, you know, external. I know a lot of people think, oh, you work at one company as an intern, it'll help you get a job somewhere else as an executive. Oh, if I work somewhere as an executive for a year, it'll help me get a job somewhere else. And I know that is the common, most, you know, way, especially in this day and age, in our, you know, in our culture at this point, how we see growth. But that's not true. You can grow laterally within a company as well. If today, let's say you're working as a virtual assistant or a marketing assistant or a sales rep, and you feel like, oh, I don't really want to do, you know, sales rep at this point. I feel like I have got a great skill set in account management and customer success. You could move in there as well. If you see that you have the right skill set and you see that there is an opportunity within the company, I would advise you guys to apply for those as well in the future. Right? That's how you learn. That's how you move. And maybe, you know, maybe you're not seeing a lot of growth in your current role, but you might see growth in that other role. And you can definitely try that out. And that's something that, you know, I'll be encouraging in the days to come when it does happen. I wanted to quickly talk about, you know, why you guys should be at RepStack. I know this would be a little bit cliche coming from me, but I've been here for less than a month, but I've already seen some great things here, and I can, you know, I can vouch why this is, you know, a lot of people believe that when you start out as a virtual assistant on an individual level, there's a lot of risk involved, right? You're contracting with someone virtually. You've got no, you know, you've got no safety net in between. So if things go wrong, as they sometimes probably will, there's nothing there to save you from it, right? You might, I know people who put in hours, who put in years, not years, well, maybe, you know, weeks and months, and then only to end up getting snubbed at the end. And that's something that, you know, that's a huge risk when it comes to working individually. Yes, there might be a lot of money in it, but is it worth the risk? Which is where, you know, RepStack comes in. The first thing that I want to talk about is the absolute security you guys get. And this is something that you might not be aware, but my philosophy is, you know, we're here to guide and lead you. We're not here, well, I'm not here at least to boss you around. That's not the kind of attitude I feel like is a good fit for me. So when it comes to you guys working with RepStack's clients, I want you guys all to know that we, the CSMs, the operations department, we're here to facilitate you in the best way you can, right? If you're putting in the work, if you're putting in the effort, we're seeing that you guys are doing a phenomenal job, as most of you already are. We're gonna have your back in that, right? There are times where it could be like, oh, our client is being a little bit unreasonable. I want you guys to loop in your CSM. I want you guys to loop in your manager. I want you guys to talk to them. I want you guys to give them everything. Tell them the whole story. And believe it or not, most of the time we're gonna have your back than anything else. So that's one huge thing that comes with RepStack. You guys have somebody who's really there, who's providing a safety net, not only coaching you, not only, you know, providing guidance, but also, you know, in terms of financial security, you're also seeing that, you know, if something goes wrong and you've done what you should be doing, we're here to actually have your back, right? And that's something that I feel like won't be there if you're working individually. Then I listed a couple of things here. The first one obviously is hands-on experience, right? Most of you are new to the industry, most of you are fresh graduates, and hands-on experience is literally something that can make or break your career. So when you're working with RepStack, you've got all of these multiple different clients, right? And so you don't really have to spend all that energy into looking for a job or looking for a client or looking for, you know, a particular career. So when we've already got all that for you. Like Azhar said, we've got so many clients in the pipeline. We're just, you know, waiting to match them with the VAs. So when you are matched with that client, all you really need to do is put in the work, and that's it. You gain experience, you put in the effort, you put in the hours, and at the end of, you know, a couple of months, you've got all of this amazing experience. You might not know it yet, and you might not even feel it yet, but these hours that you're putting in right now, they are valuable experience that will really start to show within a few months. And this is coming from personal experience. You know, when I started out, I felt like, oh, this is so much work. It's repetitive. It's annoying. But a few years down the line, when I look back, it's probably made me who I am right now, and it's very important. So don't take these, these hours that you feel like you have to put in, or the work that might seem a little boring or repetitive. It's practice. Take it as practice, take it as exposure, take it as experience, because that's really going to come in handy a few years down the line. Foreign exposure. Now, this is a little bit of an underrated perk that comes with working with RepStack or any US company for that matter, right? Working in a local environment gives you a certain perspective. And I'm not here to say bad things about the local economy, but when you're working with, foreign companies, when you're working with foreign clients, the best thing it does, it broadens your perspective. You'll learn so many things that you might never do in a local environment, right? We were born here, we were raised here, but obviously some of us have never even been abroad. But this is something that, because the world is becoming a global economy at this point, which is really important. So when you're working with these foreign clients, you're learning so many new things. And, and this goes two ways. And I really want you guys to look at it, because I like the second end of this blade as well a lot. The first thing is you learn about their culture, you learn about how these people work, you learn about, you get the experience to work with them, and you learn what works, what doesn't work, what kind of things are normal here, what kind of things are normal in their culture, especially when it comes to, maybe taking leaves or the overall work ethic. And it's good to know how different communities and different cultures approach work, as opposed to just sitting in one culture and thinking, oh, this is how things are done, right? This is something that really broadens the perspective. And when it comes to, future opportunities, a lot of people are going to look at this as a perk when it comes to your resume, right? Then I think all of you can vouch for the fact that RepStack is a fast-paced environment. For those of you that have been here for more than a few months, I'm sure you've seen exactly how fast the company's grown. It went from just a couple of people to almost 100 at this point. It started out with 1 or 2 clients, and now we're at a level where we've got so many in the pipeline, and we've got almost 80, Azhar, is that right? 80 VAs placed, roughly? You are on mute. Sorry.
So with our internal people, we are really close to 100 people right now. So just below 100.
That's awesome. All right, yeah. So working with startups, it has this amazing advantage where you get used to a really fast-paced environment. This is something that you don't really get. And I know a lot of people prefer to work with, established companies because they've already been there for so long. And they come with different perks, they come with a different environment, they come with a lot of security and whatsoever. But I think if one thing we've learned in COVID is that it doesn't matter how great a company is. I know companies like S&P Global that laid off over 400 people. The last company I was with was considered a huge company, and it was amazing, and it laid off almost 700 people. So it doesn't really matter where you are or how secure or huge or established the company is. I think it matters the kind of experience you gain from working with that particular firm. And one thing I've learned is I really enjoy working with startups or companies that are young, because there's so much opportunity to learn and grow. And that is an opportunity that's uniquely available at RepStack. I know you guys are starting out as virtual assistants, but like I said, the internal team is growing, the external team is growing, the clientele is growing, which means positions are going to open up. Growth opportunities are going to become available. And obviously, with change comes so many things. Like, for instance, right now, these coaching sessions, you're here for your career development. And when it comes to moving forward, we're going to focus on our VA's development as well, not just our internal team, right? And that's something, with the months to come, you guys are going to notice. Like, this is my first session with you, but I in no way intend to stop here. A lot of positive changes are going to take place in the coming weeks. So I do want you guys to keep an eye out for that. One of the things we discussed in the very recent internal meeting was, I want you guys to feel like you're part of a team here, which you are, but I feel like at this point we haven't been able to make you feel that way. So we're going to definitely work on, building that team relationship with you guys moving forward as well. This one, remote work culture at this point is probably something that a lot of companies are doing because of COVID. But if you think about it, most of these companies are going to revert back to normal office environmental work at the end of it, right? But this is, I believe, a huge benefit to a lot of you to be able to work from the comfort of your home, to be able to have an environment where you can, simply just sit at home, have a space where you can work. And it's a huge thing, you don't have to deal with commute, you don't have to deal with that annoying Monday traffic. I don't know how many of you had to actually deal with it. It is one of the most annoying things in the world, but and in terms of, I feel like remote work comes with a lot of benefits. One of them is obviously avoiding commute, fuel costs, definitely. If you don't have a car, then obviously you don't have to deal with, spending an hour in a taxi or a van or whatever. So that's a huge thing. That's a huge benefit that not a lot of companies are offering. You get to choose, you get to sit at home as long as you're, basically your work is determined, or your performance is determined by how much work you're putting in and how much effort you're doing it. It has nothing to do with where you're working. And that's something that I feel like RepStack is uniquely providing at the moment to its VAs. All right, that's the list I had at the moment. Any questions so far? Cool. All right, so now let's talk about the recipe for success that I was talking about. Now,
Subuhi, just 1 second, if you don't mind me interjecting, going back to the last slide. You were right when you were saying about the foreign exposure, and when we're talking about foreign exposure, all of you guys are here because you guys wanna build careers in by and large inside digital marketing. So right now, and majority of you guys are working with digital marketing companies, and not everybody gets that opportunity, especially working in American and Canadian markets. So just getting that particular experience, I think that is definitely really underrated right now. America and Canada, these countries are at the cutting edge of digital marketing. And when you guys go inside a digital marketing firm, which is operating inside North America, they are deploying these cutting edge strategies, and you guys get to learn firsthand of what's going on in the first world, or the country that has that came up with Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of these platforms that we're so used to. And we all get the opportunity to work with these amazing companies who are deploying these tactics in the first world right now. And I think just having this particular experience on your resume is going to be going a really long time. It's going to take you guys places. So
it's going to be extremely beneficial, especially because I feel like the Pakistan economy is going in the right direction at this point. So if you bring, not only are you learning from that experience, you're bringing it back into the country. So that's something that's, it goes two ways,
huge.
and it's amazing. Yeah,
that's huge. And then the other thing that you have to think about is that it does look good in terms of experience and things like that, but to build out proper careers and experiences that look solid, you also have to hang in there. Sometimes you may not get the best job bosses. Sometimes the work might be just too much, because maybe us as Pakistanis, we may not have the same, I hate to say this, but we may not have the same work ethic as some of the first world countries. They're used to working since they were 13 years old. They had their first jobs at McDonald's and things like that, and they've been working ever since. हमारे अम्मी अब्बू जो हैं वो कहते हैं कि हमारा बच्चा जब तक मास्टर्स नहीं कर लेगा, he's going to, or she's going to have roti and everything in bed until then, right? And then all of a sudden we are expected to just go out and do amazing work and things like that. So that's the drawback we have, and I think that's part of the reason is our culture. But all of you who are on this call right now, and everybody who's going to be watching this, I'm excited because you guys are defying those norms. You guys are, you guys are putting in the hours. You guys are going head to head with a person who might be employed in the US market. And that's where the real growth is going to come, when I see you guys move into with the current companies or other companies that you guys are going to be part of. I want to see you guys get at leadership roles, inshallah ta'ala, where you're not just a marketing assistant. You become a director of marketing, like Subuhi pointed out, within the organization that maybe you're currently part of, and you have the capability of doing that. You just need to show that through your work ethic, through the commitment of your time to that particular client, and then also asking for it. Like, if there is an opening, like Subui said, if there's an opening for head of marketing, talk to your boss. And if you think you're feeling confident about it, tell him that, hey, John, I think I can take care of this for you, and I can hire the persons underneath me. And there's no reason that they should be hiring a person. If they can hire a person like you at an entry level role, they should be able to hire a person like you at mid-level management or even high-level management. So just want to point this thing out. We're not there yet, but inshallah, as you guys progress through with your clients and get more experience, first year, second year, these opportunities are going to come up. You just need to prove it through your work ethic. And I was just reading the other day that you know uh, instead of hiring for skill, the better option is to hire for attitude, because skills can be taught, but attitude is really difficult to find. So if you guys all have great attitude, you guys are building up your skill set right now, and like Subui said, sky's the limit right now.
For sure. That was, thank you, Azhar, for adding that. That was an absolutely excellent point. Just want to sort of, touch upon that again. When it comes to career growth, a lot of it is definitely about your attitude. And the other, maybe 25% is about opportunity, but the rest of it is about your attitude, right? If you want to get somewhere, you need to figure out what you want to do right now. So for maybe, so that from maybe, a year from now or 2 years from now, you can get there, right? Set some realistic goals. Don't just, sit right now on what you're doing. If you're content with what you're doing, that's a whole different story. But if you want to progress, you need to have a plan. You need to know where you're going, what you want to do, what you want to be, where you want to be within a year from now, where you want to be 2 years from now, and eventually where you want to be 5 years from now. I don't know if you guys have come across this question. At least I have in a bunch of my interviews. A lot of people ask me, where do you want to be within a year from now? Where do you want to be 5 years from now? And at least for me, when I'm hiring people, that really shows you the kind of attitude the person has. If somebody says, oh, I don't know, maybe at this company, then, that's someone who doesn't really know what they're doing. And you can't really help someone get where they want to be if they don't know where they want to go, right? So make sure that, at the whole point of this coaching session is to leave you guys with a sense of, with a sense of knowing what you want to do in the future with your careers. All right, awesome. I am gonna move on to the next slide, which was me talking about the recipe for success when it comes to working with clients. So as you all know, you guys are working with various different clients. Some of you have been working with more than, you started with one client, you then moved on to another client of RepStack. And while, if you're putting in the work, if you're good at what you do, we're definitely gonna be more than happy to move you from one client to the other if things go sour with one. But I thought, it's always better. And like Azhar said, in the future, we're definitely going to be hashing out all of these things formally. But since we have these plans in the work, in the pipeline, where we want you to not just, stay around as a virtual assistant for the rest of your tenure with a client, we want you to progress with that client. We want you to go from sales rep to account executive to director eventually. In order to do that, one of the most important things is going to be time. Right? A client isn't going to just, most of the times when it comes to executive level positions, when it comes to management or leadership positions, clients prefer to hire internally. So if you have, in a firm, let's say you've been around for a year, you understand how the company works, you understand what the client likes, what everything, the workings, the inner workings, everything inside out of the company. you have an advantage to any external candidate that might be applying for a higher level position. And therefore your client is going to be more likely to, choose you over somebody else because you already know everything, right? The new person will have to be taught everything from scratch. But obviously people do hire externally, but I'm letting you know that this is sort of like an open secret. You get an added advantage if you've been with a company long enough, right? So in order to, retain a client, in order to work with a client long term, I sort of nailed down a couple of things that I feel like will really, well, they're really simple. There's nothing, there's no rocket science here, but I'm just going to point it out. And I want you guys to sort of incorporate this into your work ethic so that moving forward, you guys are able to maintain a great relationship with your clients. The first thing is effective communication, right? When you're working with a client, it's so important. It's so important to communicate effectively. Effective communication doesn't just mean that you're talking at the client is talking at you. No, you have to understand what the client wants from you, and at the same time you have to make them understand what you're doing, right? Your client is not going to know what you're doing unless you tell them about it. I mean, obviously there's time doctor reports, there's all kinds of things, but when it comes really down to it, all of these things are, they're superficially tracking progress, they're superficially looking at what you're doing. But when it comes down to, the nitty gritty, the everything, when you come into work, there's a lot of things you might be doing right now that might be going unnoticed. So it's important to establish, communication with your client. Let them know, oh, this is what I've been doing. This is what, come up with ideas that you feel like will improve your overall progress with the job, and make sure that your client knows about that, right? And in order to do that, my favorite method of doing this is making sure that most clients or most US managers tend to, set aside a little bit of time with each of their employees, either every day or at the very least every month or every week, right? So if you've got, let's say, a one-on-one session with your manager, make sure that you use that time effectively. One thing you're going to learn working with US or Canadian firms and clients is that these guys, they really value time. So if they're setting aside an hour for you, use that to your advantage. Don't just, let that time be used in your manager just talking at you and giving you assignments and whatnot. Because a lot of the times I feel like this is what happens. You've got an hour, your manager's going to talk about a few things, set some goals, and then, there's going to be half an hour left and he's going to ask you, hey, what do you guys want? Is there anything else you want to talk about? And you know what? It's really tempting. You get that half an hour free by saying, oh yeah, there's nothing. But I want you guys to use that half an hour. They set that time aside for you. Use it. Use that rest of half an hour to talk about the things you've, achieved throughout the week. Use that half an hour to talk about issues that you may be faced. Let them know, hey, so I ran into this issue. This was my solution to it. Let me know what your thoughts are on the matter. What do you think I could have done better? This is going to do two things, right? One, it's going to show your client that you are dedicated to your work, you are putting in the effort, and you are a problem solver. So obviously they're going to think that you are amazing at your job. The second thing it's going to do is it's going to help you learn, right? It's going to help you learn. And if it's not going to help you learn, it's going to show your client that you're willing to learn at the very least. So first thing first, effective communication. I want you guys to practice this with all of your clients starting today, if you haven't been already, that is. Then, planning. This one seems like a no-brainer. Planning your day in advance is one of the keys to success in any, in any environment, especially when you're working at, if you're working from home, it's easy to be disorganized. It's easy to be, it's easy to just take it one day at a time and just sort of think, oh, I'll deal with the problem when I come to it. What that is going to do, you're going to have lots of things that you're doing throughout the day, and it's going to have things fall through the cracks. Maybe you've got a bunch of things that you have to do, and you're trying to do all of them at the same time. That's not going to help. What I want you guys to do is I want you guys to plan. I want you guys to learn how to triage. There's going to be a bunch of things that you're going to need to do every single day. So you need to figure out what's the most important thing and then work your way down from there. So maybe, set aside an hour to do a certain task, set aside another hour to do another task, set aside a break for yourself, of course, and, and then so on and so forth. So you start with the most important things and you work your way down in terms of, what's less and less and less important. And then it sort of also gives you a daily goal that you're trying to meet, and it helps you, stay organized and on top of things as well. And also this is going to prevent things from sort of, being lost in translation or being falling through the cracks. Tracking your progress. Now, I know that a lot of, the knee-jerk reaction that anybody has to tracking, their time or their hours on Time Doctor is, oh, it's so annoying. And I get it, it can be. But here's why it's so important. You are working from 7 seas across from your client, and they don't have a lot of, like I said, it's really good to establish effective communication, but what's better is to have solid proof backing you up when it comes to the kind of work you're putting in. You guys get here every week, you put in 45 hours for your clients, and you need to have something to show for it. And believe it or not, these reports, these things are here to sort of save you from any potential issue that might arise up, right? So if this is sort of like a solid proof, a solid report that shows, yes, you showed up, you put in the hours, and this is what you're doing. And the reason it's so important to track your progress is, again, going back to my first point, the only way you're going to have an effective relationship with your client, a successful one with your client, is if you're actually showing them your progress. So it's important to not just, and Time Doctor is just one tool, right? It's automatically tracking everything. But again, there are things that you might be doing. For instance, if you're making calls or if you're writing something, there might be times where Time Doctor doesn't really, sort of reflect that. So it's important to, when we talk about your end of day reports, it's so important to put in everything you do throughout the day, right? The more detailed your reports are, the better impression you're making on your clients. So if you're doing something, definitely mention it. And one really, one practice that you guys could perhaps approach starting from now, and Azhar, you can tell me what your thoughts are on this, is to share your wins, in your, not just, don't, write your end of day reports as a chore. It should be an opportunity for you guys to share what you've achieved in that day, right? So talk about your wins, even if it's a small one. Like, for instance, if you are a sales rep, right, and you were able to find a you were able to find a good lead, that's a good win. You found something, you achieved something. Mention that in your report that, hey, this is something I've achieved. And not only are we going to know about it because you share your EOD reports with us, your client's going to know about it as well. So your value to that client is going to increase exponentially if you keep doing this. So from now onwards, let's try to share at least one win per day in your EOD reports. What do you think, Azhar? Cool. Okay. Awesome. All right, be organized. Now, when we're working remotely, it's so easy to fall prey to distractions because, we've got families, we've got your television's like a few meters away from you, and it's so easy to sort of just, get messy. It's important to have a dedicated workspace within your house, right? Even if it's just a table with, a frame on it, make sure you have that. Have a space for you where you work. The reason for this is it really drives productivity. If you've just got a laptop and you're sitting on the couch one day, you're sitting on the bed the other day, and maybe you're in the lounge the other day, that's something that really doesn't, as human beings, we're wired to, sort of on a subconscious level, feel at peace at home because that's where we come to relax. So you need to have a space where you feel organized, where you feel productive. And even if it's just a table with a lamp on it, it should be there. So one of the things I'm going to definitely advise is, and I know some of you probably already have this, is to have a dedicated workspace at home. And make it, personalize it, make it your own. So it becomes an environment where you feel productive. That's really going to help in long term. Maybe it feels really dumb right now, but trust me, it makes all the difference. I remember when we first started working from home, it was really frustrating. And, I was sitting on my bed or sitting in my room or sitting in my lounge, and it was really hard to concentrate because it just wasn't a productive environment. And then I invested in a table, a lamp, a few frames, and I put stuff on my table, and my productivity went from here to here. So do think about that one. Cool. Time management. This one, again, another no-brainer. This sort of brings me back to another point I made previously about how you need to manage, it's so important to manage your time. And when it comes to your US clients, they're specifically stingy about this, right? If you have told them that we're going to give you 45 hours in a week, they expect those 45 hours to be 45 hours. That does not mean 43, it does not mean 42, it does not mean 30. They're going to give you tasks that they expect you to complete within those 40 hours a week that you've been assigned, right? One of the biggest things is going to be, one second, sorry. All right, so one of the things that you're going to need to do is to manage your time effectively. And this is going to be important. Why? Because when you're assigned a particular number of hours, your client's going to give you tasks that they expect you to complete in that. Now, there's two things that happen. Sometimes, people think this time is not enough. And sometimes people are really fast. In both cases, you need to learn how to manage your time in a way where, for instance, if you've been given 10 tasks and you're expected to complete them in 10 hours, make sure you spend 10 hours on those tasks. It shouldn't be 11 hours, it shouldn't be 7 hours, it should be 10, right? The reason for not doing this quickly is so that you focus on quality. And the reason for obviously not delaying it is because your client is expecting a deadline. Does that make sense? All right, I'm drawing towards the end of this. One of the last ones that I had on here was to ask the right questions. When you're talking to your clients, it is very important to ask questions. And that doesn't mean, you're constantly slacking them or sending them messages and asking them ridiculous things. No, it means when you've been assigned a task, I want you guys to take a good look at it. And I want you guys to ask them the right questions that will help you in performing effectively. So for instance, you're a marketing assistant and your client tells you that you should, start a marketing campaign or whatsoever. Make sure you ask them the right questions. For instance, who do you want your audience to be? What are you hoping to achieve out of this? So that when you start working on that campaign, you have the client's goals and mindset in mind, and you can do something that will definitely make your client happy with your work.
On the question part, just I'd like to add one more thing there. So anytime you're asking a question, don't just ask a question for the sake of asking a question. And when you do ask a question, do some research and have a solution for it. You may you probably already on the right track here. So, if you're just going to go to your boss and ask them a question, that's going to stop them right in their tracks. And nobody wants that, trust me. But if you come to me and ask me that, hey, Azhar, this is the problem I'm facing, and I think this is probably the right way. Am I correct? Then I just have to give you a yes or a no, or tell you that, no, maybe look at this one. Right. But if you just come out to me with a question that's designed to just stop me in my tracks, then that turns me off. So that's a trick to asking a question. Anytime you do have a question, make sure you have a solution for it as well. And sort of like a multiple choice, and go to your boss with that. I promise you that he or she will be really happy with you guys.
Definitely. Like I said, ask the right questions, be a problem solver. All right, last but not least, keep your supervisor in the loop. In this case, as VAs, I want you guys to know that your CSMs, and we're definitely working on trainings and coachings for them too. But from now onwards, now that we guys, we have dedicated customer success managers for each account, it means you guys have a dedicated manager here at RepStack as well. So I want you guys to definitely keep them in the loop. Especially when it comes to client dealings, right? For instance, if you're struggling with something that your client is, expecting of you, or there's a problem, or even if there's a good thing, I want you guys to share that with your manager. I want them to know, so that if there's a problem, they're ahead of the curve. They already, they can help you sort of resolve that problem before it becomes a big issue. And if it's a good thing, then your manager's going to know about your performance right from the beginning. It's so important to let us know what you're doing, where you're at, and how your client relationship is going, just so we can facilitate you. This isn't to micromanage you. This is just to make sure that we can facilitate you. We can guide you in the best way possible, if that makes any sense. All right, I know we're short of time, so I'm going to quickly go ahead and share my reading list. I will be sharing these links with you guys. Earlier on, Azhar mentioned that, if you guys want to grow your career, if you guys want to move forward or progress, ask for it. So that is a definite point that is mentioned in these two articles. I want you guys to, they're really small articles. They're barely 2-minute reads. So do take your time and read both of these. They will really help. I went through them. They've got some amazing points. One of them being the one that Azhar mentioned. They've got a couple or more in there. So do give it a read and let me know your thoughts on that. Then the last one is, I want you guys to go on Google and just, your current role, whether you're a marketing assistant, whether you're a sales rep, whether you're a social media manager, I want you to write that and just Google the career path. So you see where you're going, what trajectory, what possible outcome that can come. Your life doesn't stop at VA. Your life isn't going to be VA for the rest of your life. There's going to be, a proper career path. And I want you guys to take a look, and I want you guys to ask yourselves, where do you want to be? What do you want to do? And how do you want to get there? All right, we will just, quickly, I wanted to put the slide in case you guys had any questions. I know we're short of time, but if anybody has any questions, now's your moment to shine. Really? None? Okay.
I would have one question. In one of the slides that you mentioned earlier on, that remote working comes with its own perks and all. But what about the cost of burnout? Because working at home does come with a sort of burnout, and because you do not have a controlled environment, it sometimes does tend to get very challenging. So how do you think we should tackle or manage that?
Very good question, first of all. And that comes with, do you remember when I said be organized? So I really did focus on that one for a bit. You need to have a dedicated workspace at home. I think burnout comes from when your work life and your home life intermingles, then you don't know where one starts and where the other one stops. So you need to have dedicated hours, and you need to have, it's a mix of two things. It's, you have to manage your time so that, you're starting at the time you have to start, and you close your laptop when you're done with all your tasks, when you're done with your time for the day, and you walk away from your workspace, because that's something that will really help you find or regain that sense of balance back into your life, and that'll ultimately prevent, things like burnout. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Subuhi.
Cool.
I just wanted to add something here, Subuhi, you don't mind. The burnout thing is actually very real because of this.
Sure.
I mean, most of us have not had any kind of experience with, working from home. So everyone, this is something that I go through on my interviews as well, because everyone is so excited to work from home. They don't understand like the challenges that come with this after a little while, which is in the next 3 to 6 year. The best way that I'm dealing with this right now, which I'm not, but I am planning to deal with this, is working out. Have a dedicated time to, just either there's a home gym or just get to your local park or something like that, like Azhar does. He goes down to the, the courses, and then there has to be something that, gets you connected to the outside world. You can't just sit at the house and just think, okay, I've got a 9-hour job, I'm going to relax for the rest of the day. You have to get something going in that sense as well. So we are coming up with a plan for that as well, so that if there's for some gyms or something like that in your area, we'll be contacting you about them soon.
Cool. Awesome. All right, everybody, that's about it from me. Azhar, do you want to add something?
No, I think that's good enough, guys. One more thing to answer Rija's question. Dedicated workspace, set that boundary with the people at home, let them know that this is your work time, do not disturb me. And if they still disturb you, especially for the girls, just let your moms know that you're going to be going to the office at night, and that will just create that boundary overnight for you guys. So I think that's pretty much it. I think if you guys have any more questions, feel free to reach out to any one of us. We're always here to help you guys out, and we'll have this recording over to everybody else shortly.
Oh, awesome.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining the meeting. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys in 2 more weeks from my side, but Subuhi and her team will be talking to you guys a lot sooner.
Yeah. See you guys later.